After analyzing more than 1,000 Google Ads accounts and generating over $20 million for our clients, I found the 5 exact things that are destroying your ROAS while we speak. And at the end of this video, you'll have the complete system for maximizing the revenue from your Google Ads account, alongside a full walkthrough of what the 5 mistakes are, how they affect your account performance, and exactly how you can fix each one of these mistakes to make sure that you're making the most out of your Google Ads account. So if you really want to scale your business with Google, make sure you watch this video till the end and pay attention. So, number 1, and this is the one that I see so often, I talk about it all the time. I've actually just released a new video on exactly how to do it properly, and it is broken conversion tracking. Now, if I had $1 for every account I ordered with broken conversion tracking, our agency would be one of the biggest in the world and we'd be millionaires. But these are the main catastrophic mistakes that everyone seems to make when it comes to conversion tracking. First of all, they just don't have any tracking at all, right? So this should be the first thing you set up in your account. When you start a Google Ads account, the first step should be setting a solid tracking foundation. You cannot run any campaigns if you are not tracking your results and you're not feeding that data back to Google. Then the next biggest mistake people make with conversion tracking is they set their add to cart or begin checkout conversion actions as primary actions. What this does is it tells Google to target these kind of people, to target people who add to cart and begin checkout, but not necessarily purchase. So this could mean that Google will start to retarget and start to really place an emphasis on customers who just add to cart and then abandon their checkout, right? And we definitely don't want that. We want to be focusing all of our efforts on purchases and converting customers. Beyond this, it also duplicates your conversion data. So it basically counts every add to cart or begin checkout as a sale and counts it in your conversion value, which you do not want, because once again, it's a misrepresentation of your data. It's not going to help you in any way. Next up is duplicate conversion actions inflating your numbers. So if you have 2 purchase actions that are both set as primary, which I see all the time, it means that it's going to literally double your apparent conversion value, and your 5x ROAS that you're observing is actually just a 2.5. Then people miss conversion actions entirely. So on a service-based account, for example, you may be tracking form fills, but you may not be tracking any phone calls, in which case you're missing a lot of potential leads that you could be getting and you can't track them, which again is just a data loss. It's something that you do not want to be missing out on. No enhanced conversions being enabled. This is mainly for e-commerce brands. If you don't have enhanced conversions active and enabled, you are losing conversion data that could be very valuable for targeting the right people with the algorithm. So make sure that you have enhanced conversions active, enabled, and working. Then static conversion values on e-commerce stores. So a lot of e-commerce stores will set up a conversion tracking action that just doesn't work and doesn't track the value of the purchases. It just tracks the number of purchases. This isn't as effective, and honestly, it reduces the efficacy a lot of your targeting campaigns because it doesn't feed back to Google who of your customers is making larger purchases compared to smaller ones, because ultimately the value of a conversion is more important almost than just the number of conversions themselves. The reason this destroys your ROAS and the reason you have to have conversion tracking completely accurate is because without accurate conversion tracking, Google's algorithm is flying completely blind, and it's like telling a golfer to score a hole-in-one blindfolded and with no idea where the hole is. If you tell Google, hey, I want to get more conversions, but you haven't shown it a single example of a conversion in the past, Google has no idea what you're going for, and it's going to struggle a lot to achieve that. So you end up paying premium CPCs to target people who never buy from you, which ultimately is not what you want to do. Here's the solution though. I have a full video that I just released on my channel a couple of weeks ago on exactly how to set up conversion tracking on a Shopify store. It's got 2 separate methods. One of them's super easy. One of them's a little bit more complex. Both of them I give you a full walkthrough so you can have the most bulletproof, comprehensive tracking guide that you could ever want on Google Ads for a Shopify store. So check out that video if you want some more help. Next up, mixing brand and non-brand traffic. Now, this is a very, very expensive mistake when you get this wrong. The problem is your branded searches, so people who are typing in your brand name, have 10 to 20x higher conversion rates, really, really massive conversion rates compared to cold traffic. So when you mix them together, you get these results. Google optimizes towards easy wins, so your branded searches, and it basically leans entirely into branded searches and doesn't prospect at all for new customers. Your budgets get completely consumed by people who are going to buy anyway. So you're spending all this money on trying to convert people, but they were already going to buy from you. So, it is worth spending money on branded, but not too much and not excessively. You get 0 new customer acquisition. If you let Google mix traffic types, it is just going to go completely after branded. You're not going to get any new customers. I can almost guarantee that, as long as you have an existing branded presence. Next, your Performance Max campaign shows an apparently amazing ROAS, like 8x ROAS, for example, but it's all existing customers. Again, this is not a representation of your actual performance, not a representation of your actual incremental value generated, MER, everything like that. So you want to make sure that you are separating them for reporting and scaling purposes. Here's what you should do. First, create separate branded campaigns for search and shopping. So search and shopping campaigns, you want to have a branded campaign that just collects branded traffic and no other types of traffic, so you can clearly attribute that. Then you want to exclude your branded terms from all your cold campaigns, so using negative keywords. And then also on PMax, you want to apply brand exclusions, on your for your brand on cold campaigns to make sure that once again you're excluding anything to do with your brand as much as you can across the board to ensure that all of your branded traffic flows into the branded search and branded shopping campaigns that you have allocated for branded traffic. And then all you have to do is watch your actual new customer acquisition explode. After you make these changes, you will find that so much more of your budget will be going towards new customers, and you will likely see your new customer ROAS increase, new customer acquisition costs decrease, and much better overall metrics in the account. Branded campaigns should be 10 to 20% of your total spend maximum, right? I rarely would have a branded campaign over 20% of total budget. Like that's a lot. That's a big allocation. If it's more, you're not scaling, you're just harvesting your existing demand. You don't want to go beyond a very small portion of your ad spend. This is what your branded campaigns should look like. $1 spend, $1,000 return. Now, obviously this is an extreme example, but they should have a very, very high return in comparison to your standard cold customer, new customer acquisition campaigns. So make sure that you have a really high return and you're not spending too much on them. By the way, if you want me to implement my entire 8-figure Google Ads system for your e-commerce brand, SaaS company, service-based business, whatever you are, as long as you run Google Ads, just click the first link below to book a call with my team. Next big issue that I see is missing critical campaign types. So most accounts that I audit are running 1 or 2 campaign types. Very few, typically it has a very simple structure. Usually to search and maybe shopping, maybe a single PMax campaign. And this is like going to war with one hand tied behind your back. It's handicapping you immensely. It's preventing your growth so much because you're missing out on an enormous amount of placements and an enormous amount of potential customers. So for ecom brands, what you want to allocate to campaigns is as follows. Shopping and PMax campaigns should be getting the vast majority of your budget, probably 70 to 80%. They are your money makers. They are where you're going to get the most traffic, most new customer acquisition, and the highest flow of high converting, high intent traffic. Next up, you can have a standard search campaign as well with 10 to 15% budget allocation, just really high intent keywords surrounding your service. If you find there's a specific group of keywords that tend to perform really well compared to others, create a search campaign and test them. They could get some pretty good performance. Next up, brand campaigns. Like I said, brand is fine to run, but just run it in moderation. 5 to 10% of your total budget. Make sure you're protecting your brand and you're informing the algorithm of high quality customers and giving it more data to optimize with. Then YouTube Shorts. Now this can range widely in budget allocation in the account. It could be from 10% all the way up to 50%. It's cold traffic acquisition and meta CPMs. Now it's very important that you only introduce YouTube Shorts campaigns when you have a significant amount of conversion data in the account. And they'll start off typically as a pretty low contributor with not a huge ROAS. But as they start to gather more data, you'll find that you can scale these massively if you have high quality creatives and high quality data in the account. So that's when you can be getting up to those 50% of the account kind of contribution from YouTube Shorts. So make sure that you start slow and then ramp up when the signals indicate to do so. Okay, and then for service-based and lead gen accounts, you want to be putting the majority of your spend into search campaigns. That'll be 40 to 50%, targeting highly specific, high intent traffic. So you just want to be making sure that you're focusing on only the highest intent traffic in those campaigns. Should be the vast majority of your account. Again, probably even beyond 50% in early stage accounts. And then you want to allocate some to Performance Max as well for multi-channel coverage and remarketing. As long as you've set up your Performance Max correctly, it can generate some really good results for service-based and lead gen businesses. Just make sure that you have your conversion tracking dialed in. You don't have any inaccurate conversion tracking events, anything lying to the algorithm. Because if you do have sort of events that don't represent high quality conversions, like a big one in service-based businesses is they'll be tracking when someone reaches a contact page, which shows some level of intent, but it's nowhere near as high intent as someone who's submitted a form. And if you're optimizing towards people to just visit the contact page, PMax is going to ram after people who just visit the contact page, don't necessarily submit a form, and it's going to reduce your overall effectiveness. So make sure that you're just tracking genuine high quality income producing actions on Google Ads if you're a service-based lead generation company, and then you can use PMax. Next up, demand gen and display. I recommend this as a small portion of a service-based account just to potentially build your audience, get more top of funnel exposure, and just get your name out there a bit more. Again, you only really want to be introducing this if you have a pretty sophisticated account that's been around for some time and you already have a lot of conversion data and you have proven offer, proven unit economics on Google, and you can afford to sort of invest a bit more in a top of funnel. And then finally, branded campaigns. Once again, I recommend running them for service-based businesses too, because you can easily get kicked out of the top spot by competitors if they are bidding on your brand name, which can be critically important in service-based businesses that have a tight local competition. So make sure that you are defending your territory as a brand with 5 to 10% of your budget allocated towards branded keywords. The reason that you need to have such a wide range of campaigns is because different customers buy on different channels. So someone might see a YouTube ad, research on Google Shopping, and then convert via branded search. There are so many different pathways, funnels, and different routes which users can come through that if you aren't covering every basis with your campaigns, you're going to miss out on a lot of potential traffic and a lot of potential purchases. And if you're only running search, you're probably missing out on 80% of that if you're an e-commerce brand. So yeah, don't sleep on shopping and PMAX for e-com brands. It is probably the lifeblood of your brand. All right, there's another issue I see is ignoring your best sellers. Now, this is particularly in e-commerce brands. Something I see in almost every e-commerce account is you'll have, say, 100 products. Google spreads your budget haphazardly across all of them. So it might allocate heaps to one, not much to another, et cetera, et cetera. And 5 products will end up driving 80% of your revenue, but they're only getting around 10% of your budget. So what this means is you have these potential products that are showing such high promise, but Google doesn't realize that they're performing so well, and as a result, it doesn't allocate spend towards them. Now, just as an example, in one audit, I found the top 3 products were hitting a 12x ROAS, the middle 20 products were hitting a 3x ROAS, and the bottom 77 products were getting a 0.8 ROAS and were essentially losing money for the brand. And they were spending around $300 a day on products that just lost money while their best sellers were starved for budget. So these top products weren't getting enough spend, and all these bottom products were stealing the spend, sucking it away, and producing very minimal results. So here's a strategy that you need to follow to succeed with product allocation and spend allocation between products. So identify your top 5 to 10 products by ROAS and conversion rate. So look at basically go into your products screen on Google Ads, sort by conversion rate or ROAS here, or ROAS or conversion rate essentially, and check out your top 5 to 10 products, and then create a separate shopping or PMAX campaign for only these high conversion rate products and put them in a single campaign. Allocate 40-50% of your budget there because these are your best products. They have the best chance of making you money. You should be giving them most of your budget. And then use a higher TROAS target. So because these products are getting a higher return, you can afford to set a higher TROAS on them and then let them run and let them generate more money because they probably will generate a lot more cash than just a catch-all shopping campaign. And then across all of the campaigns, this kind of structure can work really well. So first of all, you have that best sellers only campaign that I just mentioned with a pretty tight ROAS. Then you have another campaign for high margin products. So products that you might want to promote yourself, but Google doesn't necessarily see them as the highest converters, but you find that they have a really high margin for you, so you can sort of sacrifice a bit of ROAS on those. And then in this case, you'd be looking at a moderate TROAS. And then your campaign number 3 would be testing and all products. So this is your campaign where you rotate through product batches to test other products for potential winners. And if you find a winner, you can upgrade it into your best sellers campaign. But this one just rotates through all your products to find something else to allocate more spend to. So on this, you want a loose TROAS or just straight maximize conversion value with no TROAS at all. And if you use this 3 campaign structure with either shopping or PMAX feed only campaigns, you will often find that you get a much better return because you're focusing on best sellers. And it lets you find new best sellers as well. This is just an example from a client account of sort of like a unicorn product getting completely starved of budget. So you can see it had a 37x ROAS with 6 conversions, which is not meaningless. That's actually a pretty significant number of conversions considering the ROAS. And it had only spent $10. So that indicates a huge amount of potential for a product like that if the search terms all align, if it has a scalability, and depending on how everything looks. But that's an example, right? Finally, the wrong bidding strategy at the wrong time. So I've spoken a lot about bidding strategies on my account here on my channel, and they are one of the more complex parts of Google Ads, but when you get them right, they are extremely helpful to achieving your goals across your campaigns. So bidding strategies do evolve over time and they must be deployed accordingly. If you use the wrong one at the wrong time, you will kill your performance. So the way that you use them effectively is in an early stage account. So with 0 to 30 conversions, you want to be using manual CPC or maximize clicks with a bid cap, because you cannot deploy conversion-based automated bidding right now because you just don't have the data for it. If you tell Google to try and get a conversion without showing it what a conversion looks like, it's going to struggle. Don't use ROAS, TCPA, or smart bidding. Stick with the classics, manual CPC if you're comfortable, or maximize clicks if you just want a really easy solution. Throw on a bid cap and just watch that bid cap to make sure it's not too high, so you don't bid ridiculously high on your potential keywords. Next up, once you hit 30 to 50 conversions in 30 days. Now, this may seem like a big milestone, and to be honest, it varies depending on your specific account and the products you sell and the price of your products. You can start considering entering this phase at even like the 10 to 15 conversions range if you sell a higher priced product, or if you just don't get a lot of volume coming through, if you have a lower budget, you can start testing this around 10 to 15 conversions. And what you want to do at this stage is using maximize conversions or maximize conversion value. So maximize conversions if you are like lead gen, service-based, max conversion value if you're e-com. What this lets Google do is it lets it explore for itself, leverage the algorithm and identify who converts, but you're not restricting it yet. You're not putting certain targets on. You're giving it room and freedom to explore and optimize the conversion-based bidding strategies. Just make sure you do watch your search terms religiously because Google may start to expand a little bit too far, and you want to really narrow it down if it starts pushing too far out of your desired keyword range. Make sure you add in those negative keywords to prevent that. Then when you get to 50 plus consistent conversions per month, this is when you can start introducing ROAS or TCPA. Again, this 50 number is pretty arbitrary. You could be doing this at 30 plus. I generally wouldn't recommend at 30 plus conversions per month though. And what this lets you do, less than 30 per month. What this lets you do is it lets you set a target ROAS or a target CPA, ROAS for e-commerce, TCPA for lead gen. And what it does is it basically guides Google to tell it you're trying to get a specific ROAS, specific CPA, so a specific efficiency. And at this point, Google knows your customers well, and you can scale efficiently when you introduce these targets. Make sure to start conservative. So set your ROAS 20 to 30% below your current performance, your TCPA 20 to 30% above your current TCPA, just to make sure that you're giving Google some room to work with and you're not pushing it to be super strict from day one. These are the most common mistakes I see with bidding strategies in general. Setting a ROAS at 500% when you're only at 300%. So that is just going to tank your spend, and it's going to set an unrealistic goal for Google. Using ROAS in an account with 10 conversions, it's never going to work. Google just doesn't have enough data to find the right customers, and you're probably going to waste your money, or you're not going to spend anything at all. Never graduating from manual bidding. So I know a lot of people do still use manual bidding. They lean on it a bit more heavily in accounts. I personally think it's very difficult to make the argument that you can outbid a multi-billion dollar algorithm from Google, which typically does perform really well when you have the right restrictions and structure in place. So I always opt for the automated solution because I find it genuinely just brings better results. And then setting TCPA for e-commerce. So don't use TCPA in e-commerce because your conversion values can vary across customers, and you want to be targeting those higher value customers in vast majority of cases because they generate more money. Another pro tip as well is when you want more volume, when you want to scale into more audiences, lower your ROAS by 15-20%, just drop it down. It basically tells Google, okay, hey, I can afford a slightly lower ROAS here, so you can be more adventurous and try and find more customers for me. And you will probably capture a lot more traffic and hit new audiences, and you may not even lose any ROAS. You're just giving Google essentially the green light to explore and try and get more customers at a slightly different ROAS. And then gradually you can increase it back up once you have trained the algorithm to explore out and find more high quality customers. Anyway, those are the 5 biggest mistakes that I see in accounts. And like I said, if you honestly fix every single one of these things in your account, you're probably going to see really good results. These things cover the vast majority of the mistakes I see. And I really want you to try and implement these because I think it could be a massive game changer for your Google Ads account. But if you don't want to implement them yourself, if you don't have time, if you don't really know how, if you're a bit confused, feel free to book a call with me using the link below. There is a link here. There's also a link under the YouTube video. Happy to have a chat with you, identify if we might be able to help you out. We may even be able to help you get results like these. This is one of our clients that we scaled from about 30K revenue per month up to about 1.68 million per month. So very significant scale over the course of about 6 months. So yeah, once again, if you want any help with your Google ads, I would love to try and help you out. Please feel free to book a call down below. And if you have any suggestions or questions for future videos, please drop them in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one.